Tonight it's video number 7 and it's fixed blade knives. We're going to start on what I do not reckon you should use, and then we will move on to the better knives that I think is proper. The first thing that I want to bring out totally is that on a fixed blade knife the tang must be proper. It can't look like this. I broke 2 knives right here because this is the weak spot. This tang is very, very thin. Both thin like this, and if you work with this knife hard, I brought this specifically to show you, you will break it right here. And I've seen big knives with big blades, big as that, big knives with small little tangs and a big handle put on it. The moment you work hard with that knife, you break it right there, and then it's useless. So that's the first thing you got to look, that's very important in knives, is to have a proper full tang, or at least a half, round on the sides, not sharp like this, round here and round there, and a proper and thick enough to make it strong here where it attached to the handle. We're first going to start with knives I don't think is totally suitable for self-defense, but if you have nothing else, you use them. As I've said before, if you have nothing else, use what you got. But if you can get a proper knife or a proper thing for self-defense, rather get the right one. This is a Puma Skinner, which I use in hunting a lot. It's got a lovely handle. It's got a stag handle, and it fits in your hand properly with a proper guard. But the blade is not correct for self-defense. It fits very nicely in your hand, very sturdy. It won't slip when it's full of blood, but the best you can do with it is slashing strokes, cutting with it like that. The other thing that I want to show you here is a whitetail Skinner made by Seki in Japan. It's like a push dagger, very comfortable in the hand. It's got a rubber handle that fits securely. It doesn't slip. I've used this knife a lot in skinning and working meat, and it's exactly what it's for. This is not same like the other one. You can slash with it, cutting strokes, but that's about the best. It's not a proper to stick somebody with, okay? So the kind of shapes you do not want. Then we're back to the old story. This is a cold steel spike with a tanto tip. It had a wrapped cord handle here that broke, and I must fix it again. But to show you, the problem I have with this knife, it doesn't have a proper guard. Your hand will slip, even if it's got a corded wrap to the front, on the blade. If you stick it into somebody, you're defending yourself, you've got a lot of adrenaline in your body. You can put it here in the palm of your hand and break it there, and you can stab with it like that. Or you can turn it around, put your thumb there, block it off, and you can stab that way with it, okay? This is a neck knife. You pull it under your clothes and you pull it out, and it's fast, thick enough, very strongly made. The newer ones that they made after this one, I see they got a proper little guard here, which is much better, and the indentation there is much better. So you can look at them. They're called steel spike. They got different models, good little knives to carry. The newer ones with a proper handle. So this knife blade is 100% correct for fighting, self-defense, but it hasn't got a guard, and that's my big problem with it. I gotta have these type of knives to show when I do training that's the problem with this. The grip here is very slippery. It's very smooth, very slippery, full of blood. It's just slippery as hell. If you take it like this and you stab with it into something sturdy like a pine door or anything, your hand slips forward onto the blade. The moment it gets resistance, that's what That's what's wrong with this knife. It had a nice guard here, 100%, but it doesn't. Okay. This is they say it's a carbon fiber. I'm not really sure. It's cold steel, makes them. It's got a proper rubber handle here, and it fits securely in your hand, and you can use it for stabbing. This one, you get them different sizes, and this is a push dagger with a 3-inch blade. This also 3-inch blade. Also same thing. It will definitely be deadly, but it's mostly for stabbing because the size is not sharp enough to cut you properly. So this type of things, if you want to cut, very light, very fast, but just stabbing that's what you can do with it. Okay, let's start with the small ones. This is a very small little knife. It's got a proper tang. The tang follows right through. There's very strongly made here, and it's got grooves cut into it here to make the grip better. If you want to carry small, got small hands and carry small, this got a 2-inch blade, and it sits in the hand securely. It's there also for more grip, better on the top there, and you can stab with it, put it in the palm of the hand to give you extra break there to push it and back it up properly in a stabbing motion. You can cut with it, but basically it's for going for the eyes, here on the sides of the neck, inside of the leg, where the arteries is, where you can easily reach actually vital arteries, because it won't do much when you stab somebody in the chest and stuff like that because of the reach of the blade. Blade is very small. Exactly the right shape, 100% nice and sharp, but for cutting, stabbing at vital areas, that's under the skin, and that you easily can get at. This knife, also cold steel. I bought it for my son when he was small, and it's got a very nice rubber handle, sits in your hand lovely. You can do cutting. It's got a 3-inch blade, and what I do not like about it much is the guard is rubber, so that's not ideal. This is a wood dagger. You can carry it in your boot. It's got a 5-inch blade, 4-inch handle, 9 inches overall. Very effective. But I made a mistake when I bought it. I thought the guard was made out of metal, and it's not. It's plastic, and so I broke it by accident. So that's the problem with it. Okay. Very effective. It's got a blood groove. 5-inch handle, 1 inch wide here. But I'm fixing it. I'm making another guard for it, so it will work properly. If you look at that tang is thick enough. Even if it tapers down, and it's round there on the sides. Inside there is no sharp edges. So it's strong, and it will not break here. Okay? Good knife, will work very well. Got the rubber handle, comes out, flares out at the bottom here, so you can pull it out properly, you can stab with it properly, and it won't slip if it's wet or full of blood or whatever the case may be. Very secure handle. Good knife to carry. This knife's got a D2 steel. It stains. It's not rust free like 440C or other stainless steel. So you got to look after it more carefully. It's a small knife. It got a synthetic handle. A friend of mine made it, and it's got the tang follows right through, as you can see. Very strongly made. Sits securely in the hand. Got a nice brass guard there for a guy that got smaller hands or want to carry a little knife like this. Very effective, fast. It's got a nice hollow grind, sharp as anything. Very good knife, I personally think. Right, let's go to the big boys. I like big knives because I got big hands. This knife was made by a guy called Harry Bosman. It's a handmade knife. I love this knife. It's an absolute fighting shape. It's a Bowie. The Americans will know it very well. And nice guard, nice handle, nice everything. The only flaw in this knife is the handle is too slippery. This handle is very, very smooth. Made of a hardwood that's as smooth as glass. And I cut up a gemsbok one day, and the knife got full of blood, and it slipped in my hand, and I almost took my thumb off. It sits in the hand it's very beautiful. It's got a nice hook there when you want to pull it out, but the handle is not right in the sense of it's too slippery. I love this knife. I carried hunting it a lot, everything. But let's get back to the point, is that the handle's so slippery. You're going to cut yourself, and it's not then good for the fending. Even if the whole shape is correct, the handle's not correct. It's got a nice tang, goes right through, strong as hell. Harry was also a thin guy like me with big hand. He liked to make big knives, made beautiful knives. This is one of them. Okay, and then this one, made by a friend of mine that was with me in the battalion. This is ideal. He used a type of wood that I want to call it oily, but it's not really oily. It's like it grips, even if it's full of blood. You can grip this knife properly. It's got a nice hook there to pull out, and it's got a blood groove to let in the air so your blade won't get stuck. If you use a big knife like that, this knife's got an 8¼ inch blade, the length, and it's 1 5/8 wide, 40 millimeters in metric wide. Now it's a big boy, you know. So if you stab into somebody, you know, it's better to stab like this if you go through the ribs here, because then it slips nicely through the ribs, and it's wide. It makes a big cutting wound. Very effective in self-defense. Last but not least, this is a kukri. It's made in Nepal. It's a fighting knife by the Gurkhas. I worked with Gurkhas in Afghanistan, and they're fearsome, ferocious soldiers. They all carry kukri. This is a right fighting kukri. It's got an 11½ inch blade. Start with the inch here in width, 2 inches there. It's mostly for slashing like this. You can stab with it properly like that. It's a good fighting tool. It flares out nicely here. It's got buffalo horn here. That's quite sticks to you. I use this knife hunting as well, and it widens to the front here. So your hand, and it's got a ring here, so your hand doesn't slip easily to the front, even if you can push hard like this. So this is a proper fighting tool. Now, not everybody's going to carry big knives, but I got a lot of respect for this knife. I haven't got a stainless steel blade. It rusts, so it stains and it rusts. So you got to you get a type of paste that you polish it with, and then it's all shiny again. Right? That's it for tonight.